over. Welcome to the Dr. Cloud Show. Hey, it's good to be with you again on this middle of the week Wednesday. Glad you've tuned in. If you're one of our regular listening or viewing family, then you know what we do here. And you're all set to call, right? Let me give you the number 844-940-2774. 844-940-2774 to call in during this hour, the live hour. Actually, as you look at the program on the platform, it's always going to look like it's the live hour, but there was 1 hour where that was actually live. And that's when you can call. And this is now 844-940-2774 if you want to get on the program and provide the content of the day for us. And if you're a new listener, you can call too. And what we do here is we talk about life, basically, your relationships and your pains and your dreams and where it goes wrong and how we can fix it. And we have a fun time. So one of the things we do is we also begin the show with my answering an email question while you're calling in at what number? 844-940-2774. Our boundaries.me subscribers email us with questions. And if you're not a subscriber to boundaries.me, go there right now and sign up. You won't have to put in, we're having a special like free trial, because once people look at it and they learn what's there, they tend to like it. So you don't even have to put a credit card in or anything. Just go in there and sign up. Go to boundaries.me and you can see over the 80 courses that we have there on all sorts of topics. So, but anyway, our boundaries.me members email in questions, and we got a couple of them we're going to take real quick this morning. This one says, my husband and I made the decision to block my parents from calling or sending messages to myself or our younger children. And this is where it gets confusing for me. They were venting anger and disapproval of my husband, myself, and our adult children while we were in the middle of a medical crisis with our grandbaby. We would like them to call my husband's phone so we can discuss how to move forward, but they refuse. My parents have a history of toxic behavior for as long as I remember. This is one of many conflicts over the years. In what ways do we stay strong in our boundaries while leaving opportunity for restoration? So it's a little confusing if they're calling, when you say younger children than adult children, if we're talking about 3 generations here and all of your kids are grown, and I don't know the circumstances of any of this, but when you say you made the decision to block them from calling you or your children, if your children are adults, I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you block them because you don't carry your kids' phones around with them. But I would, and if they're really toxic, I'd probably talk to the adult kids about, here's how we're handling grandma and grandpa. We're just blocking them unless they agree that they want to come and have a session to talk about having some ground rules and how we don't hurt each other and whatever it is they're bothering. How you deal with them, that's up to you. So I don't know how you really block. I just don't know. Technically, I mean, you can ask them to block them, but I think, it's more powerful if you're the lightning rod here and they see you as blocking them from talking to your adult children. It's way more powerful if the whole group is doing it on their own. And your adult children, when grandma calls them and it's weird, says the same thing to them, right? Well, I don't like people yelling at me. And if you want to have a conversation about how to put our family back together, maybe with a counselor or, all of that, then we're open to that, but we're not going to take these abusive calls. And they do it on their own. That way you're getting a consistent message, and as grandma or grandpa is going to each one, they're hitting a wall. They can't get in. That way you're not looking like the gatekeeper. Okay. Now, certainly if you had young kids, which I don't know, that's possible. I mean, you could have young kids and grandkids the same age. Maybe could have happened in my family. I have a sister that's way, way, way older than me and had a baby, got married, and had a baby right after I was born. So that's possible. So certainly you can forbid them to talk to your own kids, your little kids, but I wouldn't do it with the adult kids. I'd let them run into their own wall and let them learn how to deal with this. What if you guys disappeared from the earth tomorrow? That your adult kids would have to deal with this and protect their kids. So That's that. And how do you stay strong in your boundaries while leaving the opportunity for restoration? Well, that's always true about boundaries. Boundaries are not burning bridges. They're not. I mean, everything, everything. Like if you look at this from, you know, a faith perspective or even a real life perspective, if you don't try to put it together with faith, is that things go bad. And sometimes you have very firm boundaries and you have to separate from somebody for a while. And then they get struck by lightning and have an awakening and come back and we have a good relationship. So always leave the door open to redemption and restoration. Always, 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 always. Okay. But not just based on a whim. I mean, somebody's got to come back. And, one of my favorite verses, how many times do we forgive this person? 7 times? And Jesus said, no, not just 7 times, 70 times 7, meaning a gazillion. If they come to you and they repent, then forgive them and let's do good together. One of my favorite verses, a different verse, is in Matthew 18. If they come to you and they listen, you confront them and they listen, problem solved. What you don't do is continue to allow abusive behavior without somebody saying, oops, my bad, I'm sorry, forgive me, let's go. Okay, because that means you're trusting bad behavior. And if somebody's got a pattern of bad behavior and never owns it, then what are they going to do tomorrow? Well, probably bad behavior. We have a new puppy, Finley. Now she's 7 months old. Can't believe the lockdown's been going so long. Lockdown's a good time to raise a puppy because you're at home all the time. But guess what? Finley barks. So let's say I set a boundary. Said, Finley, no more barking. I'll only get back with you if you meow instead of barking. Probably not going to have a relationship with Finley. She ain't going to meow. So let's say I remove that requirement and I just have a hope for Finley to meow. Finley's always barked, but okay, I forgive you. One more time. Let's try this. But Finley has never said, you know what, I'm going to stop the barking and now from now on I'm going to meow. Well, what can I expect from Finley? She's probably going to bark. So why would I open the door if she's not admitting that she was wrong? I got a problem. Sorry I hurt you. Please forgive me. See, that's for the future. Forgiveness is for the past. Trust is for the future. Forgiveness is for the past. Trust is for the future. You trust what you see, not what people tell you. And if their behavior changes for enough to have a track record or other things change, then we can trust them. And we always want to be open to that. Boundaries are just to stop the bleeding, right, of what's been going on, to put a wall there and say no more. If it changes, great, but no more if it doesn't change. So that's how that works. And then the second question, how do you navigate interacting with unsafe people when they're part of the team you're on and have to work with them? Well, the most important factor here is you have to be in control of one major thing. What do you need and want from this person that they are incapable, unwilling, or unlikely to provide? Okay? That's the only way to get in. That's the biggest way people get into trouble with unsafe people, is they're wanting things from them that they're not going to give them. Finley, please meow, please, I'll be so nice to you. I'll tell you how beautiful you are. I'll sharpen your pencils for you. I'll bring you coffee at your cubicle, and then maybe you'll meow. No, Finley's not going to meow. So if you have to work with unsafe people, then you fulfill the requirements, okay? And generally, if you're part of a team, then the projects themselves have requirements, And if they're not behaving themselves, then you say, you know what, to get the job done, I really need this from you or this from you. And if they refuse, then you say, you know, it looks like we can't work this out. Um, why don't we go talk to the boss together about it? They refuse that, then you say, well, I'll go talk to him by myself or her by myself. And so just don't want stuff from them like approval and they're being nice or respecting you or responding well or whatever. Just let it go. Let it go. Unless there's some reason you must address it if you've already addressed it. Now, I'm all for addressing things and trying to get them to change, but if you've gone down that road 100 times, then there's only two options. Then you stop wanting something, or if you truly need something that's required from above you, okay, then the above you is the person that actually needs it. You follow me? I'm not wanting this from you, Susie. I need this from you, this project filled done on time or whatever, so I can do what the boss wants. And if I'm not getting from you, see, it's really not even my problem. It's the boss's problem. So I'm going to let the boss solve it. See, what I've done in all of these examples is the formula is you take your need out of the equation. Now, if your boss said to you, you know, I'm only going to give you an A on the job if you can get Finley to meow, then you might have to say, well, what's your second choice? It's either get somebody to fill in my position or change the requirement because that dog ain't going to meow. So again, get your need out of it, work on the team's need, and then you're not the one that owns that problem. It's whoever's requiring that from the team that owns the problem. Okay. We are shifting the need here to the places that it can only be taken care of. You know, when you go to school, if you're going to be an engineer, you learn the laws of physics, right? If I'm going to build airplanes, I need to know how the laws work. Well, if you're going to be a wise human and you're going to have a good life, you have to learn the laws of how God created the universe, how he made people, how he made relationships. And what he told us is, you know, there are ways that these relationships work. Okay. And one of the ways that the laws of physics, right out of the mouth of God, said over and over and over, if you're trying to get a dog to meow, it ain't going to happen. Okay. Unless that dog comes to you and says, I've gone through a species change operation, and now I'm a cat. I've repented from being a dog and now I'm a cat and I'm going to be nice. That's a different story. But stop needing things. You know, I used to, I bet this is still available somewhere. Hey guys, is the Coke machine on boundaries.me?
That's a good question, Jess.
I'm asking my team here. Jess, is the Coke machine video on boundaries.me?
It's Greg here, and I can tell you it is not.
It is not. Okay. Well, we will put it up there because it's a little visual that I've done a million times that people really, really connect with. And if you've ever gone to a vending machine, right? And you go to the Coke machine and you say, I want a Coke, and you put your quarter in, right? And you hit the button and it comes up red, right? Let's say it doesn't even come up red. It just doesn't work. You put your quarter in and you're shaking it and you pound on it a little bit, confront it, and you shake it, and then it doesn't work. You put another quarter in, you shake it, it doesn't work. It's not going to give you your Coke because the machine's broken or it's out of Cokes. Okay. What do you do in that circumstance? You got two options. You can go down to the bank, say, hold on, Coke machine. I'm going to go down to the bank and I'm going to get a truckload of quarters and I'm just going to keep trying over and over and over and over and over and over till I deplete myself of everything good that I have. And I still don't have a Coke because Coke machine ain't got no Coke. Okay. Or I can say, I think this machine's broken. I'm going to go find another one. Which one's the smart person there? But see, with unsafe people, what people do is they have this wish and this hope and this thought that, well, if I approach them differently, well, how can I tell them so they'll, how can I, maybe if I ask a dog to bark, to meow in a certain way, then they'll pull it off. No, they're not going to pull it off. But you're the one that's in control of where you put your need. You're the one that's in control of to whom you make these requests. You're the one that chooses which Coke machine you're going to walk up to try to get what you want. Unsafe people aren't in control of that. You are. So it's being in control of your own needs and wishes. Okay, how about that? We got to get that video up on boundaries.me. We have it somewhere. Okay, guys, here's the number, 844-940-2774, 844-940-2774 to get on the program. And Emma is calling us from our first international caller of the day, from our neighbors on the north side up in Canuck Land. Emma, welcome to the program.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. How can I help you?
Probably many ways, but I do have one question.
Yeah?
My question is, how do I talk to my husband about codependency? That's the question, and that's because I am trying to take responsibility for my own contribution to our problems in our marriage, and I am trying to work the 12 steps. I would like to get help to improve my situation, but so far he hasn't taken any responsibility. So basically, I would like to explain to him why I've been very compliant, and we seemingly had a perfect marriage because I always gave in. So all of a sudden, I am the problem because I don't want to comply. So
well, give me,
so basically, I don't want to.
What are we talking about? Are we talking about complying on who gets to choose where we're going to dinner? Or are we talking about complying on, I don't want you using heroin in the house anymore? What kind of problems are we dealing with?
Just, I would say, not benign, but all the regular decisions of our lives. Basically, I followed him around. I was the wind in his sails, supported him in every project.
I understand. I don't need. Don't give me top metaphors. I need an example specifically. What kind of? Give me an example of where this problem manifests itself.
So when we got married, the plan was for me to support him because he has an organization. So I wanted to support him. So I gave up my education. I moved to his hometown where he wanted to conduct his business.
When you say organization, he owns a business? Okay. So you moved to where his
charity.
Business was. How do you own a charity?
He's the founder and the president of the organization.
Okay, so he runs a charity. Okay. So that was his work.
Right.
That's his full-time gig, and you decided to say, okay, so let's go live where you work, and I'll do that. All right. So why was that a problem?
That became a problem because the deal was also that I would work on my education and start my career. And he never really encouraged me to do that. He actually discouraged me in time. And I was afraid to get into conflict. And
okay.
Now,
so mainly, are we talking about that you want to do some things and he doesn't like it and he gives you noise about it? Is that the main problem?
That is a main problem, but it is a pattern that my decisions never matter. And I basically exist for him. That's the problem.
Well, you don't really exist for him, and that's the first problem that I think you got to face.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm facing.
No, you're sounding like you understand what I'm saying. I want to make sure you're understanding what I'm saying. Okay? When I say it's not true that you've just existed for him, what do I mean by that?
You're asking me?
Yeah, because you responded like you knew
Yeah.
what I was talking about. I just
Okay.
want to make sure we're on the
Yeah.
same page. When I say it's not true that you've
Yeah.
existed for him, that's not true.
Yeah.
So what do
No,
I mean
it
by that?
isn't. But yeah. Yeah. I believe that you mean that I had the choice, and that was my contribution to go along with him imposing his will on me, and that was my decision. And now
And
I'd like to
why?
change that.
But why? That's not what I'm meaning. Why did you do that?
There are many reasons.
No,
One, his
there's
angst.
basically one reason. Tell me
Okay.
two of the many, because this is really important. What I'm trying to drive home here. So why
Hmm.
did you do that?
Okay.
Why'd you do that?
Um, I am intimidated to say what I need. I think that's the gist of it.
Okay, so who was that for?
That was to protect myself.
Yes, yes, yes.
Mhm. Mhm.
That is
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
nobody ever gets over codependency until they
Mhm.
understand you're not doing this for this other person.
That's true. Mhm.
You're doing it for
Yeah.
yourself. You're being codependent for yourself. Okay, now
I
why is
know.
that
I
so
know.
important? Why is that so important? Because once you understand that, it does two big things. The first one is you realize how powerless he actually is.
Mhm. Mhm.
He didn't make you do any of this. You said he
Yeah, I
imposed his
agree.
will. He didn't impose his will unless he came
Mhm.
and tied you up somewhere and put you in a basement for
Mhm.
all those years. See, what I'm trying to show you is you've always been in control of you. What you've done is, and I'm not faulting you for any of this, I'm just trying to get you back in touch with, let you know who's in charge here of you. You are.
Mhm.
And what you've said to yourself is, I would rather agree to do what he wants. I feel more comfortable with that. Okay. Than to not do what he wants and have to deal with the noise.
Mhm.
Right?
Right. Right.
Okay. Okay. So now the project becomes not first, how do I talk to him? Because there's no way to talk. I can't give you magic words. I can tell you the best way to say it, but I can't give you magic words if he is self-centered and wants everything to revolve around him. I can't give you the magic words to turn him into a what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know.
To meow. That would be nice.
To meow. I don't know those words. If I knew those words, my damn dog would
Mhm.
obey me all the time, right?
Mhm.
I have to I have to get in control of what I'm going to allow her to do and not, right?
Mhm.
So there's no magic words. The first order for business in
Mhm.
this is for you to get whatever that is strong enough, maybe you can call it that,
Mhm.
to not need his approval, to not be afraid of conflict, but to grow
Mhm.
so that when you do go have that conversation and the noise is there, then you can still stand on your own 2 feet. You follow
Mhm.
me?
Okay. Yeah.
That's what I want you to do.
So
I want you to get to the place where you can
yeah.
say, and then once you know, oh, I can have this and I can take whatever comes back at me, then we can talk about the
Mhm.
strategy for how you go talk to him. Now, I'm going to answer your question like you asked it, but I don't think it's the most important question, as I just said. Okay. How do you talk to him? Well, I think you talk to him, first of all, from the big picture level, and you say, when you think about our marriage, how do you think about it? Do you think about it that it is it's a we, that we're a team and we're building a life together that works for both of
Mhm.
us? Or do you think of it mainly that the marriage is here to support and do you and everything that you want to do? Which way do you think about it? And I'd start to
Mm-hmm.
talk about it for that because probably he's going to say, well, no, we want it to work for both of us. Okay. And then I would say,
Mm-hmm.
well, so I need to talk about how to do that with you because a lot of times um, there there are things that I want and I need, but it doesn't seem like there's space for those. And I want to talk about a way of of how it would work well with you for me to begin to, because a lot of times I don't say it, for how it would work with you for me to begin to say, here's some things that I want and feel like that you will listen to that and value it. That's the way I would do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But see,
And
if you're not
as
ready for
far
the
as therapy is
conflict,
concerned,
as far
yeah,
as what?
because our therapist, actually just today we're going to have a first counseling session, and we are going to have to explain how did we get here. So I guess I really wanted to know if just bringing up a diagnosis type of problem is helpful or not, and probably not, right?
Well, I don't know. Why are you going to therapy? If he's getting in a car and driving to an appointment, he must have a reason. I mean, why does he think he's
Yeah,
going?
yeah. Well, I demanded that we work this with someone to mediate,
You
and he
did?
agreed. And
You did?
well, I think he's afraid. Yeah, I think he's afraid of separation. So that kind of worked.
Go, Emma. Go. See, you answered
Mhm.
your own question. You answered your own question.
Yeah.
So then, if you've gone that far, apparently you weren't afraid of the barking, right? You weren't afraid of the noise.
Mhm.
So you go in there
Mhm.
and you say, my experience, stick to yourself, Dr. So and so.
Mhm.
My experience in our relationship is that I feel like that um, in order to make things go well, I choose always choose to do what he wants to do because when I don't, it doesn't go well. And I would like to talk about how we can have a relationship where both of us are getting our needs met, not just one of us.
Mhm.
How about that?
Mhm.
That's not very
Yeah, it's a
accusatory or
good plan.
anything. Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
So I got to
Mhm.
run, but I
Makes
hope
sense.
that's helpful to you. And I want all of the people that have your question, and thank you so much for bringing that up because, see, a lot of times people will think if you're codependent, codependents tend to think of themselves as giving people. And certainly they are, or they wouldn't have defaulted to giving as a strategy to get. Everybody hear that? I want you to hear that. If I'm a tennis player, let's say I'm not a tennis player. I suck at tennis, okay? But if I have to play tennis, I got a better forehand than backhand. So what am I going to do if you watch me for an hour on the tennis court? What am I going to gradually either consciously or unconsciously do? I'm going to kind of drift to the side of the court where I get, I'm more likely to be able to use my strong suit. I'm more likely to be able to use my forehand, right? So I'm going to try to play the whole game if I can with my forehand because my backhand's not very good. Well, a codependent, basically, people are, this is an overgeneralization that's not true. So don't listen to what I'm about to say. But basically, people kind of fall into, they tend to be, there's even personality tests that measure this. It's, like the Big Five or others, that there's an agreeableness factor. Somebody's more agreeable or they're not so agreeable by nature, by temperament, by, I don't know, the tool shed fell on your head when you were a kid. Who knows why? There's a million reasons why. But we put them in a room And there's a group that tends to be more, okay, whatever you want, that's fine, go with the flow. And there's a group that says, we're going this way. And the other group says, okay, we'll go that way because I'm agreeable. All right. So you got these two groups in the world. That's part of it. It's not true, but it's true. Okay, so kind of givers and takers is the way they get labeled, but that's a misnomer. Because even though the ones that default to the forehand default to giving all the time, the codependents really are givers. I mean, I'm not questioning your love and your sacrifice and all that. That's your strong suit. You do it out of joy and you do it because you love and you do it because you care. But you also go past that and you do it, you use your strength of giving also to serve yourself sometimes by avoiding conflict because it makes me uncomfortable to go on the other side of the court and say what I want. And that's what I meant by codependents get resentful as if the other person is imposing their will on them, is the phrase that Emma used. Okay. I hear this all the time. You know, one of the classic places we hear this is people describe, you'll hear them describe their spouse or their mother or somebody as controlling. No, they're not. They go, yes, they are. Yes, they are. Well, how are they controlling? Because they made me, they use guilt and I go, well, they didn't control you. Why didn't you just say no? Because once you say no to a controlling person, they are no longer a controlling person. They have just changed into a frustrated person. And they're frustrated because they found out they don't have control. You had it all along. But see, that takes some growth to where you can stand up to that conflict and it not bother you. It's back to our first email question today. What do you need from this person? If you need their approval, if you need them to meow, okay? If you need them to be happy, if you need them to like you, if you need them to not push back, well, then I guess you're going to have to pay for that by giving in. That's the cost. So, codependence everywhere. What I'm trying to do is tell you I'm on your side here, but you're not. Okay? You fooled yourself into thinking you're on the other person's side against you. But you've been on your side all along. In self-protection, in comfort. I'm not blaming you, I'm not down on you, I'm empowering you here by telling you some of this, it's not being done to you, you're allowing it. Okay? So let's get back in charge. Let's get back in charge. That's what codependents have to understand. And that's what boundaries are about. You see it in parenting, you see it in all sorts of relationships. Okay. Danielle, welcome to the program. You got a question, looks like here, about your kid.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you today?
I'm good. I see you're calling us from Seattle. Is it raining up there?
No, it's sunny today. We got lucky.
Yeah, lucky. I asked that because a lot of times I use, I don't know why I do this. I just think of every time I've been to Seattle, it's kind of misty and everything. And I always say, it's like when somebody lives with somebody they're describing as controlling and they, are acting controlling and they're really surprised by that. I go, well, isn't that what they do every day? That's like being surprised if you live in Seattle that you walk outside and it's raining. It rains. That's what they do. So anyway, I always say that, but I guess not today, right? So how can I help you?
Yeah. Well, I believe my 10-year-old son has developed narcissistic traits as a result of my lack of boundaries. How do I undo the damage that I've done up to this point? Because the constant manipulation is really exhausting. And now that I'm aware of my lack of boundaries, I need help navigating this.
Oh, you're so awesome. I wish everybody would ask questions like that. Did you hear what she just did, people? Hey, Danielle, can I give you a trophy here on the air right in front of everybody? I got to tell you, this is awesome. See, what she said was she's got this person that's a problem in her life, right? You know, little Joey is let's just call it selfish. Okay, is that a good word?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, let's forget the narcissistic thing for a second. He's just selfish. Okay, Joey wants what
Yeah.
Joey wants, and Joey wants to get what he wants, and he'll do anything to get what he wants. Am I right so far?
Yes.
Okay. So Danielle said, I can see how I have related to him in a way that has allowed this to develop. What can I do differently to solve the problem? So Danielle is going to fix this problem. I have confidence in you that you're going to fix this problem because you see you're looking to the only person that you can control because you can't control Joey. The only person you can control is you. So what you're saying is, I am going to start to behave differently with him with the hope. And I would say that is a very, very, very good hope. I mean, the kid's 10 years old, right? You got a lot of leverage here, a lot of leverage with a 10-year-old. Try with a 40-year-old
Yeah.
narcissist, a little more difficult, but he's 10. So I got a lot of hope for this. Okay, so tell me an example of the selfishness that you would like to address.
Ooh. Well, he's an only child and he's the only grandchild. So I'm doing the best I can. The selfishness is affecting the peace in our home, his friendships outside of the home, and the kids in the neighborhood, kids at school. People are starting to avoid him.
Oh,
and that breaks my
what does
heart.
he do?
So
What does he do?
he tries to manipulate by being moody. With me, he uses tears. With his friends, he gets easily offended, or he chooses to be offended so that he has a reason not to deal with them when they tell him no. He tries
so
to make them feel like he doesn't like
give me an
them.
example. Give me an example. What does he do
With
with
me?
you? Let's stick to you. Yeah.
Just this morning, so it's constant. Got up, I set a boundary. I said I need a minute in the morning to get ready, and when I'm ready, I'll come out. He broke that boundary, and I reminded him, I just need a minute. I'll be right out.
What did he do?
I come out to find that he's pouting, and we usually do devotions together. He's already started and finished them without me as a punishment. And then he starts crying, saying that I don't spend enough time with him. Here comes the guilt trip. He's the victim. And I reminded him, just last night, we had a great night together. We horse played. We had a movie and popcorn night. We're going to have a fun time this weekend together. We're going to have a family day at the pumpkin patch. And he said, oh, I don't want to go to that. He's crying. Can you just call the school and tell them that I'm going back to bed today? And I don't know if all this because he just didn't want to go to school or what. I'm like, I don't know how we get from A
hold
to C here.
on. Just stop for a second. Let's go back to the morning. Okay. Okay. You tell him we're gonna have time together at, let's pick a time. Let's call it 8:30. Okay. We're gonna have time together. I'm gonna spend some time doing some other stuff to then. I'll see you at 8:30. Okay. That's how we start.
Okay.
All right. And then
All right.
you come out at 8:30, and what has he done? What's he doing that you call breaks the boundary? He didn't break the boundary because he didn't come in, right? You got your time.
This morning he did.
What?
This morning he did break the boundary.
By pouting, I don't see that as breaking a boundary.
No,
what did he do?
He came into my room before I was ready, like we agreed upon, and I've explained to him many times. He came in anyway, and I reminded him.
Stop. We just hit the kernel. We hit the gold mine. Okay. You've explained to him many times. Did you hear me earlier talking about trying to get my dog to meow?
Yes.
What's the magic number of explaining to Finley that I want her to meow that she's actually going to do it? How many times do I need to explain it to her?
Oh,
We just hit the
I
whole,
see what
I mean, this will cure 80% of what you're probably, dealing with. This, I would think, I guess. Look, this is not rocket science, okay? Do you see are you watching or listening? Can you see are you on Facebook? Can you see the screen here?
No, I'm listening.
Okay. Well, I'm sitting in a room and there's some walls around me, right? Those are boundaries, all right? Now, that wall basically says, okay, if you walk into me, it's going to hurt. All right?
Right.
It doesn't keep reminding me of that. When I do it, it doesn't move and say, I told you if you do that, it's going to hurt. No, it just stands there. There's no argument. So if I tell Joey, I'm going to have some time. I'm going to be doing some stuff. I will meet you in the kitchen at 8:30, and I don't want you coming into my room before then. And if you do that, then we'll have our time together. Okay? If you don't do that, then we won't have our time together, and you'll get to spend the time that we were going to have our time together sitting in the worst room in the house with no video games or no anything for the time we would have had together. What would you like to do? You get to make up your mind, but I'll see you. Okay. So then he comes
Okay.
into the room, he violates the boundary, and then he loses the time he wanted with you. Plus, he gets to spend it in a room with no toys for that entire time. So when you say I told him 1,000 times, you only have to tell him once and maybe warn him once. But after that, then he's going to learn you're serious. And he's also going to learn the basic problem of what we call selfishness. The world does not adapt to everything I want. I have to adapt to other people for life to go well. And so basically what you're referring to as narcissism here is I don't know all the stuff. I haven't met him. He could have a lot of personality organization that might fit into that. But it doesn't matter. What even narcissistic people have to learn is the world does not revolve around you. Okay. Immature people ask for life to meet their demands. Mature people meet the demands of life. So mom's got a demand here. The house has a demand here. The school has a demand here. It says that you're going to show up. And no, we don't call the school and tell them you don't feel good. You're going to school. In the conversation. And that's what's got to start happening, where you are just meaning what you say and saying what you mean, and that's going to reduce his omnipotence. And then he's going to learn, gosh, I'm not the king of the universe. So how does that sound?
Right. That sounds really good. It sounds so simple.
It
And
is.
um,
So
he
get
wants
me
to be good. So that's grateful for that.
get me to the hard part. And sometimes it helps to sit down with him and say, you know, I kind of I think I've made some mistakes in sometimes not letting you know clearly kind of what I expect from you. Um, so I'm going to start telling you if I need something, I'm going to start telling you a little more clearly because I really want you to hear me. Like when I say don't come in my room, until 8:30. So we're on the same page. So you really know what I'm expecting. Or we're getting up at a certain time, or you got to have your room clean before you get to go play baseball, or whatever. I just don't think I've been clear enough, and so I'm just letting you know. I'll be more clear in the future.
Okay, yeah. We've had a conversation like that recently, and I said this is something, we both need to work on, and we're going to do it together, and he was very receptive to that.
Okay, but he's receptive, but he's not. Oh, I just had a little. This is a good thought. I need to write this down. He's receptive, but he's not getting a chance to receive it in real life. See, what you're saying is, I'm going to have requirements of you, but then he doesn't get a chance to be receptive on Monday morning or Wednesday morning at 8:30 because the requirement doesn't really manifest in real life. So he's receptive to the words, but we have to teach him to be receptive to the reality. That's what's missing.
Wow.
That's like when a husband,
you're right.
oh, yeah, okay, I'll agree to be a good husband. Sure, I'll do that, honey. Well, then, 10 minutes later, when she asks him to do something, pouts, complains, whatever you just said. So we're going to teach him the wall doesn't move and mom's the wall. Okay?
Okay. And sometimes he doesn't realize, that he's bringing on the tear, or maybe he does know exactly what he's doing. It seems like such a habit that he doesn't think about it. Our dynamic, bringing on the tears, manipulating.
Well, you tell him when does he bring on the tears?
When he isn't getting his way.
Okay, give me an example, not a description. Give me an example. When would he bring on the tears? You did what, and then he cried. What did you do?
He knew that we had yard work to do. He wanted to go play with his friends instead. I told him, actually, you knew that we had to do this, so let's get our gloves on. Let's go out in the backyard and do this together. And he created this, well, I'm tired. I've had a bad day. I'm going to my room. And he starts crying, saying, I'm stupid. I'm a bad kid, or I have a bad life. You're a mean mom. Just tears and negativity.
Joey, listen. That's not stuff I really want to talk about right now. Right now, what's important is that you get your yard work done. And so I want you to go in the backyard and I want you to finish your yard work. And after you're done, then if you want to talk about how you got a bad life, I'll be available in the kitchen over coffee. Okay, but right now you're going to go do your yard work. I'm not listening. You may not be through complaining, but I'm through listening. You got it? Earplugs. Mom's going to do what she's got to do. I'll see you at the complaining meeting. We take complaints at 11:15. That's when the complaining door opens, and I'll see you there, kiddo. But right now, get your blankety blank in the backyard. You just got to stop giving into this crap. Stop it. You're in charge.
Hard. I don't, it's hard because I'm like, are these real tears or is he manipulating me? And I'm slow to catch on.
Are you kidding me?
So.
Stop it. Are you serious? Do you see blood?
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Did he break his arm? Are these real tears? Are you kidding me? You know better than that.
Well, I do now, but man, I told him, I said, at the end of that interaction, I said, okay, I think you're trying to manipulate me right now. I'll be available to talk about these things later, but right now you need to get outside and help us. That's what I said.
All right. Well, I wouldn't even do that. And the last thing I would ever say to a kid is you need to do something. Obviously, he doesn't need to do something. He feels no need for this. You need him to do it. What I would say is, Joey, you got a choice. You can go in the backyard, or you can spend the rest of the day sitting at the picnic table outside on the bench with no video games and no anything for 6 hours or an hour or whatever appropriate timeout is, 4 years or something. You get to choose what you're going to do. Okay. Now, at that point, if he feels like if I don't do my yard work, I'm losing a lot of privileges or whatever, then he has a thought, which is, oh, I need to do my yard work so I'll get what I want and not have consequences. But for you to say you need to go do this, that's just more nagging. I mean, I need
Oh,
to pay my taxes, right? So I don't go to jail. IRS doesn't, if they said to me, you need to pay your taxes, well, if they're not going to throw me in jail, no, I don't. I don't need to do that. If there's no consequences, he has no need. Period.
yeah, I did tell him that he was grounded if he didn't straighten up and go out there. So he did.
There you go.
But
Okay.
there's been too many years of no consequences, right? So
Well, it doesn't matter.
it's extra hard. So he did it with a terrible attitude, but he did it, you know.
Well, I could,
Will this get better over time?
you could, absolutely. It will get better today. He went out and did it. That's better.
Yeah.
Okay. It's going to get better when it gets better, but it's not going to get better until there's a better requirement for it to get better. There's been no requirement. Why would it get better? So we don't have to have the same problem for 10 more years. It stops today. And he's not going to be happy about it. But then that's going to go away. Okay. I got to run, got to talk to some other people, but thank you for asking a great question that lots and lots and lots of parents can identify with. Let me kind of give you one of those laws of the universe I was talking about here. We are born as humans, self-centered, period. Have you ever, moms, come on, a bunch of you moms out there, you had babies, right? How many of your babies, when they came out of your body, how many of them in the first minute, right after they were born, turned to you and said, hey, mom, is there anything I can do to help out around here? No, they didn't do that. What'd they do? Wink, wink, wink. It's all about them. That's great for an infant. Okay. And what do we do with an infant? We make it all about them. You don't frustrate infants. You meet their needs. They're screaming, they're crying, they're hurting, they're cold, they're wet, they're in abject horror, entire physiological distress. You pick them up, you comfort them, you give them the food, you give them the nurturance. And what happens? Their tummy begins to get full. And you do that for a while. And then there's a word called weaning. All right. Do you know what the Hebrew word for wean means? One of my favorite verses. It's when David says, God, I'm like a weaned child at your chest. You taught me to trust you at my mother's breast. Okay. You give to them. And once they've been given to, what happens? Then there's this shift that starts to take place with the kid where now we're going to not just give to you whenever you want it, but now we're going to actually start to make some requirements of you because you came into the world thinking it's all about you. Now we're going to help you learn some of it is about you, but you've also got to adapt to the needs of others as well. And so basically the maturing process is exactly what I said earlier, that immature people want life to meet their demands. Mature people meet the demands of life. And you only learn to do that by parents having demands. If you don't have any expectation and you don't have any demand that the kid has to meet, they're going to grow up thinking the world's here for me. And then they're going to run off and marry some codependent, and she's going to be calling me on this show saying, my husband's narcissistic. Well, call his mother or his father or whoever allowed him to get away with this forever. So parenting is about giving and requiring. But frustration for children is a required vitamin. They need it. They need to hear the word no to build frustration tolerance. If they, through crying and tears and manipulation, can get everything they want, they're going to grow up with emotional dysregulation all over the place, and manipulation and omnipotent fears and narcissistic injury and a bunch of other problems. Go to boundaries.me, check it out, because there's a lot in there about how to set these kinds of limits. Really, really important for your child. Okay, so let's go back to the, where are we? Where Wendy is calling us from St. Louis. Wendy, have I got that right there? Wendy, are you there?
Yes, I'm there. Hello.
Ah, okay, I got it right. Welcome to the program.
Hello. So it's nice to talk with you. The reason that I'm calling today is I've got a family member. My dad is in active heroin addiction, and he had a health scare. Yeah, but so he had a health scare in June because of all the stimulus money and the extra unemployment. He was able to get extra drugs, and by him being a diabetic, he took too much insulin, and his blood sugar went down some ridiculous amount, and he passed out at work. He's a traffic aide. My sister had to go as his emergency contact. She had to go put him in the back of her SUV and take him to the emergency room because the ambulance wasn't coming soon enough. And he's expressed suicidal tendencies, saying, "Oh, if I wasn't around, things would be better," stuff like that. And also, he's tried to harm himself, So anyway, when he went to the emergency room, they did keep him for observation. Once they got his blood sugar and everything stabilized, and they said, "Okay, we're not going to release you. You have to go to a treatment center first. We have to get a psych evaluation, and then you can possibly go to a treatment center." So he decided that my sister and I were trying to have him committed, which actually was not true. And anyway, when he did go to the rehab center, he left the rehab center, checked himself out because he said rehab is for addicts. But my question
He said what? He checked out. Why? Why did he check out?
He said that rehab is for addicts.
You said he's a heroin
That's why
addict.
he was not going. He is, but apparently he's too good for rehab.
Okay.
The logic of a person on it. So anyway, but my question is,
so
I'm still really angry.
The Beverly Hillbillies version of this is he's an addict in denial. I mean, it's not complicated, right? It's impossible to be addicted without being in denial. So he's obviously hasn't hit bottom yet. Okay, so he checked out.
Clearly.
So what's the question? What's the question?
So the question is, following all of this, he'd said, "Well, okay, I'm not going to talk to you or your sister. You all tried to have me committed." Da, da, da. Then he got over that, but every time I talk to him, I'm really furious. I try not, I don't take it out on him, but
what are you mad about?
Well, because we tried to save his life. He's accusing us of trying to harm him. And, and so every time I try to talk to him, but underneath I'm still angry, and I want to be able to get rid of this anger.
Yeah. Well, when you talk to him, what do you say?
Well, he says whatever, you should really think about what you're doing to people. You can't commit people outside of their will. That puts a record on them. And
what do you say? What do you say?
Not much. I just say I understand that you have free will and you've got to do, what it is you're willing to do. But I actually stand by the decision that was made.
Okay. So, but underneath, you said you're angry. Because what I would
Very
say,
angry.
I'd stand by the decision. I said, look, Dad, let me tell you about me. I'm not going to talk about you. I'm talking about me. Okay. I love you, and I stand on the side of life, and I can promise you, I will promise you, if I see you doing something that I think is going to endanger your life or is going to hurt you in some way, I'll absolutely do everything possible to have you committed. Now, I didn't even do it then, but are you asking me, do I love you enough to, if you won't take care of yourself, to do everything possible to make sure that you're safe? Absolutely. I can promise you that. So you can expect that from me. So if you want to accuse me of that, guilty. I will, yeah, if I think you're in danger, I will take steps to protect you. Okay? I don't have to justify
Good
that.
point. I'm sure. Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's kind of how I feel about it. I'm like,
Yeah.
because
So,
he doesn't even know
well,
what happened. He was unconscious, so he doesn't
well,
even know.
so let me try to help you with your anger. Okay? Your anger, your anger in part is probably coming from at some level, you kind of feel responsible for him, right? Because he's not taking responsibility for himself,
Not at all.
right? So what happens is what an addict does is they hook people into taking responsibility for them, and now they're the victim and you're doing this to him. And you're
Yes,
totally powerless. You're powerless. You can't do schmatz about him getting sober or not. You are powerless to change this person. The powerlessness feeling is in part what generates the rage. You ever seen
hmm.
somebody that's feeling powerless, they get agitated, right? Well, the way to change that is, and in the boundaries book, we talked about one of the laws of boundaries is a law of responsibility for versus responsibility to. You are responsible for yourself and responsible to him. So when we have a relationship, I can't take responsibility for you, for my kids, for my wife, for anybody. But because I love you, I will always act responsibly to you, and you get to choose whether or not you're going to take responsibility for yourself. And then I release you from my control or my wish to be able to control you. And I realize I'm powerless to control you. You have to choose what you're going to do. And so, if the message to dad is, look, whether you choose to acknowledge it or not, you have a drug addiction, you're on heroin, and you're not willing to do anything about that. That's your choice. But if you choose to do something about it and want to get sober, and if you want to have a good relationship with me, I will do everything in my power responsibly to you to help you do that. But you get to make up your mind. And see, now, in a sense, I've let go of it. What have I let go of? All I've let go of is what I can't control anyway. And what I've done is I'm choosing to be responsible to them in the best way that I can, which is basically to encourage you to get help and face your problem and help you to do that if you want to. Now, when you do that, doesn't that feel like a lighter load? Because then you're not responsible for something you can't do anything about.
Exactly.
So that's kind of part of the rage. There's other stuff here because you have a lot of grieving to do. You got a father that's not being a father. That's a lot of loss. I mean, what a sad thing when a kid has an addict as a father, right?
Indeed, because before heroin, it was crack cocaine. He just
Yeah,
he
yeah,
kept changing drugs.
Yeah.
And then with the diabetes, and if you're not taking care
Yeah.
of that, then the insulin went down. And now we got, crisis after crisis. Everybody has to run to you to get you to the hospital. And come on now.
Right. And that's why I'm saying I would want you to do something. Have you ever been to an Al-Anon group?
No, but I've been looking into them.
Okay. Look into Al-Anon. Go to Al-Anon. Go find a boundaries group where you're somewhere. Where are you? Where do you live?
In St. Louis. St. Louis, but
Okay.
I've got the boundaries book. I've read it so many times. It helped me.
Well, but you need to join a group, I think. I think a group would help you. Okay. If you get to a boundaries group where other people are dealing with the same problems, then that would help you a lot. Okay. We're out of time. I got to run. Go check out boundaries.me. There is a lot of material on there to help you with this. And a couple more announcements before we sign off here. Go to boundaries.me and check it out. You can sign up for a 14-day free trial and you can look at it and check it out. We're not kidding when we say there's a lot there. Also, if you are going through a divorce or looking at a divorce or dealing with a divorce or haven't healed from your divorce, even though you're past it, or you're single and you've gone through a significant breakup that feels like a divorce, tomorrow we're having a 2-hour live event called Recover Well. And you can still sign up for it. Go to boundaries.me/recover. Let me say it again, boundaries.me/ and the word recover. Not recovery, but recover. You can sign up for tomorrow's event. And if you can't be there live, it'll also give you access to be able to stream it later. Okay. Boundaries.me/recover for those of you who are trying to heal from divorce. And there are two groups. We know this. There's kind of three. You go through a divorce, you're going to fall into one of three groups. One is you're going to go through the divorce and you're going to hop out of it and you just go continue with life and typically repeat the pattern in some form or fashion. Even though you don't think you are, you might choose the opposite of the person, but the dynamics are going to be problematic because they never were dealt with and the pain was never dealt with. Okay. Group number two just stays stuck in the pain. It's an awful place. It can derail you. You can be in pain like for a long time and your life just stay like frozen in time and pain. But group three actually does the recovery work of specific things that have to happen to A, get out of the pain, but B, get to thriving so your whole future looks different than your past. That's what this event's going to be about. It's called Recover Well, and you can sign up right now by going to boundaries.me/recover well. Okay, got to hustle. I will see you tomorrow at Recover Well. I don't think, let me ask my team here. Tomorrow we'll be playing a rerun.
We probably won't be playing a rerun because of the way the channels are working out. So tomorrow we'll be off air for the live show, but we will be doing the Recover Well event that you were talking about.
Okay, so the Recover Well will happen tomorrow. Tomorrow we will go dark, but there's all sorts. If you go to Facebook or YouTube or I don't know if Instagram does this, but go to those platforms and all of the programs are up there. So if there's one you missed, you can see it there, or you can always get the program as a podcast. Go to wherever you get your podcasts and download boundaries.me. Okay, guys. I will see you then day after tomorrow, except for all of you that are coming to the event tomorrow. We'll be here together at Recover Well. Okay. Have a good day. See you next time. Bye.